Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk, back again with another Ferrero Friday project for you. And this one is a very simple, just a triple Ferrero box, as you can see there, but it's got quite a pretty closure on the side, and I've added some contrast here as well. So this is deliberately made as a little bit more of a masculine gift. Often that I do ones that are sort of prettier, aimed at females, but I thought this was rather nice, and it's using the new Clubhouse designer series paper. I've only got a few pieces of it, but it's quite nice, sort of golf kind of tartan and argyle patterned ones, and the pieces I've got are in the sample pack, which is one of the gifts that you get if you join Stampin' Up at the moment. So the patterns in here, as I say, I've just got two of the patterns, well, four of the patterns to show you, because obviously they're double-sided. So on the one side it's checks and argyles, and on the other it's very much sort of golf themed, as you can see here. So I thought I'd work with the argyle pattern today, and let's get started. Oh, the other thing I've used, yes, stamp set. That's another celebration item. So that's this set here, which is Tags in Bloom, and it's just for you. So just a nice simple one, not too fussy, just picking up the green and the navy there as well. So I haven't used the floral images at all. Okay, and the punch is the Label Me Fancy. Look, I've even labelled my punches now so that I try and remember the names, because I was getting all confused with them, which isn't very helpful when you want to purchase them. So, great thing about this is it uses just half a sheet of UK cardstock, working in centimetres today, but I have worked it out in inches, so that'll be going onto my blog as well. So to start off with then, you are just going to cut a sheet of A4 cardstock in half at 10.5 centimetres. And then we are going to do some scoring. So on that short edge that we're on now, we're just going to score at 3.5 and at 7 centimetres. And then on the long edge, you're going to score at 3.5, 14, 17.5, 28 centimetres. And I've actually left that a little bit longer on this one. On the other one I trimmed it a little bit, but you don't need it to be trimmed, I've realised afterwards. So that's all the scoring that's required for the box. And then we're going to need some contrast card. So again, I'm just going to cut this, it's a piece of smoky slate, and I'm going to cut that at 10.2 centimetres. And then I want 3 pieces that are 3.2. So I'm just measuring that on the right hand side here. I want 3 of those. I'm actually going to cut a 4th one because I just want a little square off that as well, and it'd just be easier to do it on that. So it's always easier to cut a small piece off a bigger piece. There we go. So that's the front. And then we need to cut our designer series paper. So decide which orientation you want it in. I'm going to keep mine in this, and this is going to be cut at 10 centimetres by 3 centimetres. So I'm just going to cut a strip that is 3 centimetres off the side there. I'm going to cut that to 10 centimetres, and then I'm just going to cut that little bit to 3 centimetres. So there we go. So not a lot of paper required. You know, it holds 3 Ferrero, so great if you're doing sort of little table favours for people. You'll need one of your pieces. You'll need a scrap of smoky slate cardstock, and you'll need a scrap of Whisper White as well for the stamping. So let's get on with the box construction. So we'll fold and reinforce our score lines. So yes, I'm doing a few more of my Ferrero projects. Had a bit of a break from them. As I say, there was some kind of talk of people not being given cease and desist. I think that was probably more to do with people doing other things. But anyway, at the end of the day, nobody's contacted me, so I'm kind of going, do you know what? I'm hoping I'm going to be safe. So all I'm doing here is trimming away. I'm cutting up each of these side pieces and doing the same on the other side. So this first one I'm not notching out because that's going to fit inside the larger panel. This second one I am notching out, and I'm actually going to notch out more heavily on the one side in a moment, because it's going to come into the diagonal. But again, so I'm going to cut a fairly big chunk off it. I'll do the same on the other side, but I might need to trim that a little bit more as well. And then on these end ones, just again, oh, I didn't need to do it on those, it was these ones. Anyway, just notch them out as normal. Ignore me, notch them out as normal. Okay, so, right, while it's flat, best time to add all of our pieces. So this one with the larger square is the front. So we're just going to want to add our cardstock and our DSP onto here. Gosh, I'm all gluey. Everything's getting stuck together. So just make sure that you keep the orientation of this one the same as on the long panel. You watch. Having said that, I've probably done exactly the opposite now. And oh no, okay, we're safe. But what I'm going to do is put it on a piece of card first. That would help, wouldn't it? Just kind of thinking, oh, why isn't that lining up? There we go. So some lovely stuff, you know, really smart colours in here. Make some great sort of masculine themed cards. And certainly if you've got golfers in your family, it would be a fabulous set to get. While it's flat, I'm also going to I'm going to put the 2 panels of card onto the bottom here. So just to show you what it looks like. And then I'm going to cut the diagonals while I'm here as well. I'm actually just going to do those with my take your pick, a scoring tool, and and a ruler, and then just cut it by hand. You could pop it into your trim if you wanted to, because what you're doing is if you fold this flap and this flap to make it easier for yourself, what you want to do is cut from this middle one here. If you line that up in your track, and you want to cut down to this point here at the front. Okay, so just line those up and cut the diagonal, like so. Do the same on the other side. Folding that flap in just helps you see where you're cutting, where you're lining it up to. So I'm just going to open out the other one. So you're going to line this top point up here and the bottom point in the so the bottom point in the track, top point up here, hold in place. I'm going to move that down. You might take it out of shot slightly, but just so I can close that. There you go. So you end up with a not very good point on that side. That's typical. That was probably one of the reasons I used my scoring tool. Or you could use a knife as well if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be that precise. So don't worry if you've done as I've done. It really doesn't matter. So now that we're doing this, let's glue the rest of our box together. So I'm using fuse here. You could use whatever tape is your preference. The important thing with box making is you don't want it coming apart while your gift is out on the table. So I think particularly, I know that some ladies in the hotter climes, shall we say, unlike grey old Britain here, struggle when there's a lot of humidity with certain glues. So use what you find works. For me, I find my fuses or similar ones work absolutely fine here. My snail is great for paper, but I know that's not the case for everybody. So this is where I was saying you need to notch out more. So you can see it's on this edge, front edge here, where it's going to show. So I'm just going to cut and hope that that kind of probably takes off most of the angle. So those just, again, it's a box, so it's always a good idea to fold it down first because it's a flush fitting sort of finish, and then bring these side pieces around. That way you'll get a nice snug finish, but it'll be big enough to open. So there we have a very smart looking box, if I say so myself, which of course I do. I'm just going to get a scrap of paper, and I think if we use some Memento Black for our, perhaps the grey, I'll use the smoky slate for the outline. Yeah, and then I'm going to use, just for you, my Memento Black in the middle there. Just got ink all over me, typically. And then come in, this is, say, Label Me Fancy, this one. So this is the one with the slot and the hole extra that you can use if you are hanging your tab. That one isn't. I've got one that, oh, it's because I'm putting it in from the wrong side. That would help, wouldn't it? There we go. So all I'm doing is labeling that. Can't my words out. Useless. Okay, all I'm doing is lining that up within the punch, so that it's got a fairly even, reasonably even border around. And then I'm just going to use a scrap. I could probably use the scrap of 3 centimetre wide that we had, just 3.2, but that might just be a little bit fiddly. And then I'm just going to do my usual. Gosh, even my scissors are gluey. God, what am I doing? Everything's covered in glue today. And then on the reverse, just put some glue, just don't put it in the centre. Pop that on like so. And the same on the other end, just to give a nice little border. A couple of dimensionals on the back there, or you could glue it straight onto your box if you wanted to. Glue it flat, but either way it looks just as effective, and will look as usual, depending on whether I can actually find my dimensionals. So all I'm doing is just popping one each on the ends, and there we have our Just For You masculine box, ready to pop our Ferrero in. And you'll see they just sit very neatly in there. So a triple Ferrero diagonal closure box that would look smart on any golfing table, or for anybody come to that. There we go. That's the project. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to purchase any of the items you've seen today, pop along to my Stampin' Up shop, heidismith.stampinup.net, or my blog, flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm going to move my instructions out of the way, where you'll find all of the information you need and links to the products I've used as well. And if you want any more information, or if you'd like to join me as a demonstrator, then just drop me an email. My details are on my blog, and I'd be delighted to talk to you. Thanks for watching. Come back in soon. Bye.